Alrighty. Good day, good Sunday, everyone. Here we are on. Oh, hey everyone. I just lost my guest. Keith Leon S. will be in the house. There we go. So happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to another Soul-lution Sunday, because the soul is the solution. I am here with my guest, Keith Leon S., our beautiful monthly guest that we are so honored to have with us. Keith is the author of Walking with My Angels. This book, if you have not read this book, please go grab your copy. I will put the link in the notes. This book is Keith's true life story about his relationship with his guardian angel, who was actually in human form. So today we're going to talk about angels in human form. Are there angels among us, and are you one of them? So good morning, Keith. Happy day. Glad to have you here again.
Happy Sunday, happy Soul-lution Sunday. Hello to everyone joining us. I know you got your regulars.
Yeah, we got Brenny on already. Saying good
Hi, Brenny.
morning, Brenny.
Hi, sweetie. Well, it's great to be here. Great to be here.
Yeah, so Keith, I've read your book. I'm reading again multiple times. This is a book that you can read many times because there are many, many layers and levels of this book. You get something different each time you read it. And you talk a lot about how since childhood you have heard the voice of your angel. What does that mean? And why don't you share a little bit about your story?
Love it. Freeform show, folks.
Yep.
Wow. Well, I love this question. When it started as childhood, and it was literally a voice, and it was audible, and it moved around, which is pretty cool. So sometimes kind of up in the corner of the bedroom, sometimes right over my shoulder. And I like to say I believe that was so, because if the voice was in my head, I might have thought that I was making it up, even as a child. Maybe I would have bought into the imaginary friend story that everybody tried to tell me when I mentioned to anybody that I was hearing this voice.
Wow,
And
that's so cool. So that it was actually coming from outside of you.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, audible, same voice, moving around, so that I would, oh, okay, and in my head I could, oh, that's said it was my guardian angel. So I just imagined what it looked like, because at the time it's pretty young, so it's like, I don't think I should appear just yet, right? I might freak the kid out. Let's start with a voice. Pretty smart, pretty smart, this angel. So and that voice just said things that kept me out of harm's way, that was really guiding me, was kind of mentoring me and doing things that my mother, who was there but not present, was not necessarily providing for me, and kept me out of harm's way a number of times. And so moving forward into like junior high school, still a voice still guiding me. And then in my early 20s, then a literal earthbound angel came to me, like you were talking about, in the flesh. And yeah, that's a whole another story. I don't know if you want me to get into that, but
Sure, why not?
amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, in high school I got into drinking and drugging, like a lot of people do, and the more I kind of did that, I was guided a lot, and that voice kept me out of trouble. I could have gotten in a lot of trouble had I not been told, where to go, what to do. uh, and I just kind of started buying what my mom called it at that time, because I was drinking a drug and I was kind of trying to check out from a lot of things, and I think hearing an angel was one of them. So she always called it uh, her. What was it? It was another word for inner knowing. Um,
Intuition.
intuition, mother's intuition. So I just took it as intuition and kind of promptly forgot everything about my childhood. So high school was like letting it go and letting it kind of fade away as far as knowing what it is as a presence. And then in my early 20s, when I was up in Fresno, California, and started bartending, I was in a pretty interesting place in my life. And then the drugs were really, I was really deep in it then. And then I started working at a blue collar bar called the Silver Dollar Hofbrau. And there was this guy that was kind of quiet and mysterious and cool. And he rarely said anything, but when he said things, people were leaning in, listening. He just was that charismatic kind of character. And I was very intrigued. And he said something funny. It's in the book, so I won't, I won't blow it. But he said something really funny that kind of drew my attention to him, so that I had interest. And then eventually, because he'd come in every day, eventually I asked him if he wanted to hang out after work. And he said, sure. So we started hanging out after work, and he was asking me all these questions about what I believed in. And at that point, it was like, oh, if psychic charge you money, they're not for real. They're just trying to get your money and probably can read signs and all this stuff. And telling him all these things. And he's like, wow, that's interesting. Like he's trying to figure out where he has to start. Uh, and from scratch, my friend. Uh, that's where you'll be starting, and we'll go really slow. But just jumping ahead. So we got to be friends, and then eventually he was like, "Do you trust me?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, can I see that ring?" And the ring he was pointing to was a ring I had on, and my stepfather, who I only had as a stepfather for 5 days. She got killed 5 days after the wedding. He had died with that ring on, and then my mom gave it to me when I was old enough that she felt I wouldn't lose it. So, or do something stupid with it. So I had that on. And so when that was a big ask, when he said, "Do you trust me? Can I see that ring?" Because no other energy other than my stepfather, my mother, and me was in that ring. So that would be, I still understood energy even at 19. So that's introducing someone's energy into the room. So I understood why he said, "Do you trust me?" already, just to even put that in his hand, which is what he was asking me to do, was trust. And so I put it in his hand, and he closed his hand and closed his eyes and did what I call a life review. Some people call that, when you die and you see your life pass before you and all that, as a life review, and that is as well. But this was a review of my life from the time I was born to the point where my stepfather died with that ring on, and he was just telling me everything, everything from when I was born, when my parents divorced, what it was like, what my mom was like, just everything to the perfect detail. And there's no Google back then, right? So he didn't look me up. He knows nothing about me, and that just blew my mind. And then I could tell he saw my stepfather's death, which was horrific, because he just, oh God, oh, and he said I could have went my whole life without seeing that, and put the ring back in my hand. and and so I started to have belief in him, at least as a psychic, right? So at least this guy's got something. And because I had that belief, now he would start to predict things all the time. Like, and even tell me how my whole next day was going to be, and it would happen exactly like he said. and it happened only 100% exactly the way he said whatever he said. And so that's how he kind of started to prove himself to me, if you will. And then time passed, and he did a lot of those things to kind of show me that at least he had something, I could believe in him. And then eventually he said, "So do you trust me?" I knew something's coming because that's how he let it in the last time. Oh, here we go. You might want to sit down for this one. And then that's when he said, I am an earthbound angel." And I know a lot of people say when people give each other a gift or they do something nice, they call those people earthbound angels, but that's not really who we are. And I was like, "Who we are?" And he's like, yeah, there's a certain group of us here, and we're what they call walk-ins. So I assumed a body that was somebody who had no family, had no ties to anybody, drug addicted, OD'd, died, jumped in his body, and kind of took over. So, in Earthbound Angels, we are assigned to certain people to keep them from dying before their predetermined expiration date. To which I said, "Predetermined what now?" So he explained to me predestination, and and we all agree to what we come here to do, and we know beforehand, even when we're gonna die. But we are supposed to make it to that date, and now there's planes, trains, automobiles, gang fights. There's like so many more ways to die now than ever before.
Yeah, humans have got to get creative on that, right?
Right. And then that's why we all have guardian angels, at least one with us all the time, is they're supposed to be just like moving you over here, telling you to do that, where you just feel like it's a prompt intuition or whatever, or some people know what it is, but just to keep us alive. But that's not what he was there to do, because earthbound angels are assigned to certain people that are supposed to do great things on the planet. And he said, like in your case, if you die before you're supposed to, then it has a not so great effect on the planet, is what he said. And I'm just like, what? Right? How could anything I do have anything to do with like not so great effect on the planet? That was just a little huge for me at the time to even wrap my mind around what that even meant. Um, so he would spend time with me, taking me from believing in basically nothing at that point to believing in everything. And then at some point he would reveal my life purpose to me and save my life. And once he saved my life, then I had to let him go because he had to go do it for someone else. So that's the earthbound angel story. And so the things he had to do to get through my thick skull that he wasn't really who he said he was, and the things he even had me do, is a whole nother journey, and only part could I really share in the book, because a lot of it was I'm convinced it's the same angel as appeared to Dan in Way of the Peaceful Warrior. I think he claims it's fiction, but I know better. And or he may have said, "You decide." But I know better, because I mean the language, the way that he first, one of the first ways that he showed, who he was, the whole worked at a gas station, flying up on the roof, the whole, appearing up there, like the whole thing was just like, when I was reading that book, I'm like, either Dan followed me around with a pen and paper and stole my life, or we're talking about the same earthbound angel that helped both of us. Uh, so so a lot of things in the book I didn't share, but there was plenty more, plenty more that happened. So I got to share those in the book. But yeah, I mean, it was just seeing miracles happen before my eyes, and then at some point even doing them myself. Being given a mission, he would call it, or we'd take a journey. So all this to say, there are real earthbound angels among us, and then there are what he talked about people that are kind and giving, and people that show up at the perfect time to be there for you, uh, following their inner guidance or what their angels told them to do, or however you want to look at it or call it. Uh, and and then I love what you share, how angels are energy, right? Angels are beings of light, as are we, energy and beings of light. So I love how you share that we are the angels, and have that process where you have us close our eyes and unfurl our wings. And that was one of the most beautiful processes that ever. I've done a lot of processes with you, but that one was just so beautiful and sweet, uh, to visually create that and see that and know that it's true. So that led me to ask questions that I ask now of people. How can you be an angel today? Who can you be an angel for today? And whether they take that literally or just think, who can I be kind to and do a good deed, it's ultimately going to have the same effect. Yeah.
Yeah, we are, everybody has heard that we're body, mind, and soul. That's pretty common knowledge these days. But what does that actually mean? What I look at as the mind and the soul are non-physical. The body is the only part that's physical. So if we are two parts non-physical and one part physical, which is not the actual mathematical equation, I don't think. I think it's more like 99% to 1%. But if we are non-physical beings, that means that there's more to us than meets the eye. So, the more I get quiet and go within and start to notice, there's a lot more to us than just these physical bodies. So when we start to look at what the angels tell us, what they're guiding us to, they're guiding us into this greater expanse of who we are, into this realm of infinite possibilities, to show us that we're far more than we think we are.
Mm. Yeah. And we have direct access to that. Right. I think
Exactly.
people
Yeah,
feel like we dropped in this body, and so we're disconnected from source, spirit, God, angels, whatever you want to call it, all of the above and none of the above. But but it's like we're directly connected to it because we're actually made up of it, right?
exactly. We
We
can't be
are,
disconnected from it.
yeah, we are light, and we are the light, right? We are directly connected. And yeah, that's what I'd love to teach people, that simple sit, ask, and listen. And so yeah, we're a lot of us are sitting, meditating, asking questions, and then if you're like I used to be, then ask the question once or twice, don't get an answer, and then you just move on. If you don't get the answer immediately,
Right?
but everything shifted in my world when it was like, no, keep asking the one question till I get the answer, no matter how long that takes. And in doing that, oh, the things that I've like downloaded have completely changed my life.
Exactly.
Completely. So it's like,
Yep.
yeah, if I no longer can meditate and have to get up and go out, then I keep spinning that question like a mantra all day, everywhere I go, as much as I can remember. And then I don't miss the answers coming by, which I think I was before. If I ask a question and then I forget, and then I turn on the radio and the answers and the lyrics of the song, I
Yep.
would miss it. Or a couple walking by having a conversation so many times has been the answer to my question. Just so many different ways the answers would come, and they'd be whizzing by me, and it would be kind of like that joke with the person that's hanging on the cliff saying, "God save me," and then somebody came in a boat and said, "If you drop down, we can put you in the boat." "No, no, God's got me." And then the helicopter came by and said, "I can drop you a rope." "No, no, God's got me." And finally it's like, "God, why won't you help me?" And God's like, "What are you talking about? I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter with a
Right?
rope," and that's how I feel like it was. Like, just all the answers were like whizzing by all day long, and I was missing it because I wasn't remembering to stay in that question. I was ADD and forgot 5 seconds later.
Mhm. Yeah, such is the nature of being human, right? All of these distractions in physical form and all in auditory form, visual form, right? And so, yeah, it's pretty interesting when I mean my experience with that, I did the same thing when I found myself facing cancer, and I didn't have any interest in going the medical route. But so I thought, well, if I'm going to learn how to heal myself, I need to know, what do I need to know in order to change this? And every day I sat in that question. Every day I meditated. What do I need to know about this in order to
Mm,
change it? And
right.
finally, when the answer popped in, it was so full of truth. It was just every cell in my body knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that the answer that I received was the truth. And the answer was, hey,
Mm,
Lisa, your body's not being attacked by some disease. Your body is responding to your emotional state, which was like depression and angst and suicidal. And it's like, what do you expect? Like, your body's trying to help you here, but you're not helping it. Like,
yes. Yeah.
so as soon as I realized that, I was like, oh, the whole idea of being attacked by diseases is not true. That's not what's happening. There's not some outside thing. It's from the inside. Our bodies are responding to our thoughts and our emotions. It's
Mm,
like, oh. And then I
yeah.
just realized, like, well, every time I've had a break, a sprain, a bruise, a cut, my body has always healed itself. The flu, the cold, my body has always healed itself. So why wouldn't it do it now? So if I just start trusting my body and start working on my inner world and start raising my vibration so that I'm not on the verge of suicide anymore,
Right.
it might be helpful,
That's a good start.
right?
Yeah, and that's really, it was mind blowing to me with the film that I'm making. That 29 different people, all different types of doctor, scientist, researcher, all different letters and initials behind their name. All that was the one thing that was the through line. Absolutely, the through line was it all starts with like stress shows up as disease, like anger shows up as disease, right? Suicidal ideation, like all of that stuff that isn't in alignment with the light that we are, right? And the light that we have within us to shine. When we go the opposite way, then that's the way it manifests, right?
Right?
As
Exactly.
sickness and disease and
Yeah. And it's really
yeah,
not sickness or
just the
disease. It's how our body is responding to keep us alive during the time of stress.
yeah, and it's amazing what the body can handle and endure. When you
Ooh,
read my
man,
book,
right?
just my early 20s is proof.
Exactly.
My God,
Yeah,
how much the body can handle and still somehow make it through. So it is amazing.
it is. These bodies are fantastic. They're absolutely phenomenal, but they're not given credit. We're simply told, oh, it's broken. There's something wrong with you. And we just go, wow, well, that's obvious, there's got to be something wrong with me because, hey, there's something wrong with me here. It's not functioning the way I want it to function. Obviously it's broken. I need a pill. It's like, no, you actually need to look and find out what thought patterns are out of alignment. What are you believing about yourself? Why are you on the verge of suicide? Why are you depressed? Why are you anxious? Why are you, going through all of the carrying around guilt or shame or doubt or whatever it is? Your body is literally pointing to the patterns that are out of alignment, where the mind and the soul are not in alignment. They're not on the same page, and your body shows you that.
Yeah. True. I almost want to share like another thing I learned from the movie is that the body can physically only take so much poisoning. We have so many non-food foods and
Yeah.
poisons that we're ingesting and putting on our body and everything, and so it can only get so much before it says I have to get this poison out of me. And they're not doing a detox, they're not cleansing, they're not doing anything, so I've got to get out. And that's what we call the flu or cold or sick. And when there are fluids just jet propelling out of us, that is a detox and nothing but a detox. We have a bunch of different names for it, but it's poison out. That's what it is. I gotta get out. And if it's coming out here, if it's coming out down there, if it's coming out both, then that's how long it's been since you've done any detox and taken in that much poison, and it just had to get out. And so it's like, wow, there really is no flu, cold, all that. It's all the detox of poison saying, I must leave your body. I was like, wow, I love that. I love that. There's so much clarity in that for me. That makes way more sense than any of the other things that I had heard growing up. All the labels and the what we call it, right? Just didn't. It's just those things have never, like you have never. So many things have not made any sense to me since childhood. It's like we were born with the inner knowing gene or something. Bullshit meter, whatever you want to call it. Right? It was just like something is not right. So that was always one of them. So it was cool to hear. I think it was Mickey Willis literally said I was doing a detox, and I was like, that's what everybody's been saying. That's what everyone's been saying. I got it.
Yeah.
And so back to angels. Back to angels. Whose angel can you be today? How can you show up as an angel for yourself and for others?
Yeah. And how can we talk to the angels? How can we start getting messages from the angels? Like, I'm sure I have a guardian angel, but I don't always hear them, I don't hear a voice from outside talking to me. So how do we start to hear the voice of our angel?
Well, our guardian angels have two jobs: love you unconditionally and get you to your predetermined expiration date. And that's all they can do, because we have free will unless you invite them. So yeah, I would say evoke an angel invitation. Some people call it an evocation, but I like invitation. And like physically say, I'm inviting you to show yourself to me. I'm inviting you to guide me, however you want to say, whatever you'd like to invite and give permission for, to literally say that out loud. You could say it in your head and they would still hear you, but it's something about in the human body, we have to prove to ourselves, right? So say it out loud. That's fine. Say it out loud. They'll hear you. And then you can say, and show me your presence. Show me that I need something. Just let me know, right? That you're there, and start to show me that you're there. And then, much like the sit, ask, and listen, once you've asked the question, then really focus on seeing proof. Seeing proof. A lot of people get the feather drop. I love that.
Mhm.
Feather dropping in their lap from seemingly nowhere where there's no bird around. That's
Right.
one way that they've shown themselves to so many people. But there are so many other ways. And even it's sometimes somebody coming up and saying something to you that is the answer to a question you had or something. It's just so profound that you're like, there's no way that it's not that. And then believe it. That's the thing. I do think that the more you're shown and you notice and see those outward appearance proofs, then you're kind of reprogramming your subconscious mind, because subconscious mind, I believe, is what keeps people from actually hearing, physically hearing the voice, is a belief, I can't hear that, I can't hear them, or whatever's been programmed in there. And the
Programming.
subconscious mind really does run the show. So to unprogram subconscious mind takes a lot, diligence. And so if you get a lot of outside proof and you spot it, you got it, and you say it out loud, okay, that's proof, I see that, that's proof, that's proof, that's proof. After so many times, then the subconscious mind goes, oh, okay, this is it's happening, this is real, this is true. And I think that's where it opens up, where you start to potentially hear the whisper, which could then eventually turn into the voice. But it's like anything, it's a muscle. And so you got to work it, work it out in order to get it to be big. Or it's like, I like to say, the old radios that we grew up with that had the dial, and you had the little slider that went across, and it was like, booms, 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 right? Then you had to go back and forth and really tune in
Yeah.
to that, finally get that one station. But once you had it dialed in, it was clear, it was pristine, it was perfection. And I think that's what this is like. You're working the dial, working through the distortion and the noise, so you can finally hone in that tool, and then get the guidance regularly, and however it ends up being for you. So it may not be a voice, but you may have like asked and answered, to where you just ask and then boom, you get instant demonstration. Just as cool as a voice, in
Mhm.
my opinion. Asked and answered. Yes, thank you. So you start to get answers in almost real time. That opens up a whole new world in business and life and relationships, everywhere. So it's really giving permission, asking, and then really being tuned in, fine tuned on noticing the answers you're receiving.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. We all are, we're really all taught to kind of ignore the non-physical stuff. We're taught to ignore those little niggling voices, and the ones that are trying to give us the good information. It's like, oh, well, that's not logical, I can't go do that because that wouldn't be logical. And then later on we go, oh, I wish I had just listened to that voice.
Yes, so true.
Right? The programming teaches us to think linearly. It teaches us to be logical. If A, then B, or if A, then maybe B or maybe C, but never infinite possibilities. So ignore all those infinite possibilities and think logically. Like, I've been really noticing this a lot lately, is that linear thinking, logic is not necessarily logical at all. And when we can start to I watch people who are so set on an idea that they've been told a piece of information, and then they believe that piece of information, and then all other information is off the table. Like, well, this is the information and this is what we're going with. Even if the information isn't correct, doesn't make any difference. All the other information that's in one piece of information is one piece of information in a universe of infinite information. And if we lock ourselves into one piece of information, then we get rid of all the other stuff and we stop listening to all the other voices. We stop listening to those voices within that are really our guardian angels talking to us, giving us all the other ideas. Oh, no, that's not true, because that's not logical.
Right. Logical. It's something dropped in I thought I never had before when you said that. Was I'd rather be nudgical than logical.
There you go.
Listen to that nudge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And when we think about angels, like angels perform miracles all the time, like, just totally natural and normal for angels.
Right.
So what if we are those angels? What if we have the ability to perform miracles? What if that's our natural state of being, but we've been programmed out of it? We've been programmed to believe that we're merely human, that we're gonna die, that you can't change physical matter. It is what it is, and you got to deal with it. What if none of that is true? What if we actually have the ability to perform miracles? And what if miracles are just normal?
Right. They are.
Right?
That's what they had me do after I finally got like not impressed by what he called his parlor tricks. He would do something, I'd be like, whoa, and he's just like, oh my God, he's impressed by my parlor tricks still, and so eventually then he had me sent me to do things, and some of those are in the book, where I was making a difference, or I was doing something seemingly a miracle, and they happen all the time, even still. There was this time when I was at a live event, and I was one of the speakers, and I saw somebody that I had met previously, and so I just came up and behind them and put my hand on their shoulders and stood there for a little bit, and then walked off somewhere else, and then they came up after and said this pain they've had in their shoulders for many years or whatever just left them when I put my hands on their shoulders. And there's been so many things like that where you're just like, you can't deny it anymore. You just can't, even if you tried, when they happen so many times, because that was the thing when this shift happened, and then I realized that all the things we're saying are true. Then miracles just started flowing through and out of me, right? And so they're happening so much that people kept saying, when you said that, or when I met you, or when I saw you on stage, or when I heard you sing, and like when I sing in a room full of people, it raises the vibration, and grown men who have not cried for their ever in their life are bawling, just as a release, and everything comes out. And then I see it, and I'm just like, oh, and then some of them will come up and they have to put words on it and tell me, that they had never cried, or been so many years, or the healing that they had, and all of that. So that was one of the promises with the book too, is that I was told, it's in the book, so I won't blow how, but I was told that I was going to write this book, and that it would raise the vibration of the planet. Okay, no pressure, and right, and that anybody who held the book in their hands would be raised to their next level of vibration. So I didn't know what that meant at the time, but it was like, wow. That's pretty cool.
Right?
And because of that, even I hold it in my hands and read it a couple times a year. I reread it so that I can remember all the things that I channeled through and remembered to write to put in the book. But it's not like every one of them I could just say right now because there was so many.
Mhm.
And even in my life, I had remembered pieces and parts, and remembered the metaphors that I was taught in the stories, and the things that happened that are now stories. Uh, but when I sat down to write the book, it came through like everything. Then he said, then I said, she said, then like I could remember everything when I was doing it. And then once I got it out, then it's back to right pieces and parts and the metaphors. So that's why I love to reread the book, is to remember all the little defined little details of the stories, and then even I get to again receive the lesson that was given, uh, and I get to raise my vibration right to the next level again
Right?
by holding it in my hands. So it's not like I just gave that to everyone else, and don't continue to give myself the same blessing that I was promised that I would give everybody else. And that's
Love
interesting. I'm just
that.
I'm just seeing that as to why I read it a couple of times a year
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, that's
So
cool.
we have Michelle asking, I've been asking for angels to come to me or show me things, but I don't think they do unless I'm not being aware. Although an angel showed up in the mail the other day, your book and a crystal angel from Unicorn Square showed up in her mail the other day.
Awesome.
And how best to get angels to show up.
Did that come after the what I shared earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, invite, and then ask a specific question, uh, and then stay in and look for the answer. But keep asking that one specific question over and over and over. That's really has been the key for me and so many of my students, is that one, becoming very habitual with that one tool, just staying in the one question that you want the answer to until you receive the answer. Because a lot of times I used to feel like I wasn't getting the answer, but it was showing up all the time and I wasn't seeing it because I had forgot the question that I asked. So I'd say that. And then now that you have the book, hold that in your hand when you ask a question. That could be another level of support. And yeah. And then I believe that messages will come through while you read the book that will guide you to receiving that answer for sure.
Yeah. And I think that you do have that the angels are showing up for you too, Michelle, because I remember the story about your coin. When you asked for a coin and the coin showed up, like some crazy coin in a crazy spot, and it was like, oh, it had to be the thing that I asked for. So I'm certain that they are showing themselves in many different ways. So like he said, keep asking for specifics, ask a specific question. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she says, oh, sorry, I was a bit late. So I will just keep asking. Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah. And another thing is, which is something that I was told that I thought was really interesting, was um, like I used to ask, show yourself to me, show yourself to me, and ask for an angel to literally materialize in a way that I could see their form. And it takes a lot of energy for them to do that, to appear in physical form. So the ask was, once you've seen and you have the proof, just believe it instead of continuing to ask angels show up and materialize. And like it's kind of like just wipes me out for a little while. It's like it's not the easiest thing. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. You know, thought you could do anything and be everywhere. It was like, well, and I was, okay, all right. I've seen enough. I have enough proof. I don't have to see you anymore. So the voice thing is fine. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's stick with that.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Brenda Jacobs says, I found 11 cents several times. There's 11. That's definitely a cool coincidence of a message from your angels for sure.
Coincidence.
Yeah,
What's
right.
that?
A coincidence.
Coincidence.
11 cents. A coin incident.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Well, I had one of my a guy that I mentor who used to say, and randomly, and everything that he would say after randomly, it was like so obviously not random. And so I asked him to make a change in his language, and instead of coincidentally or randomly, every time was to change it to of course. So of course this happened. So of course that happened. And the more he literally did get to where it's been years since he's even accidentally said coincidentally or randomly. He always says, so of course. And as soon as that was implemented, then of course he kept having major reasons to say of course.
Wow.
I mean, everything that he started saying for asking, wishing, whatever you want to call it, just started coming true when we were working together. No matter how big, no matter how big that big dream seemed, we would just put energy there, and they'd be like, so of course I spoke to that person that led me to that person to led me to that investor, and of course they said yes, what do you need, I'll give you whatever you need. And so of course we have investors, so of course right. And it's just been like that ever since. And the things that he's creating and manifesting are so huge and so profound. And so that's one of the things that I taught him that he teaches his folks, is language, that we create with our words. And that's proof of what you're saying, like that we are the angels, right? Is that like everything that we say comes true, but only every time. So probably want to be careful what we say, what we think. why
Exactly.
why it's good to only surround yourself with people that are positive and right, empowered, and all the things that you would love to be. Like surround yourself with those people, because you are the 5 people you hang out with the most. You will be the sum of total of those folks. And mind your words, thoughts, and beliefs, because they do come true. Uh, some of them come true immediately, some a week later, some a year later, but they all come true if we really keep track of them. And so if that is true, we don't want to say things that are not in our best interest, or believe things that are not in our best interest, because they will come true.
Exactly. That's such a great point, because whatever we place our attention on becomes our reality. So in every moment, we are living our reality in every moment, and where we place our attention, that's where we are in that moment. So if we are placing our attention on fear or doubt or guilt or shame, that's our reality in that moment. So where we place our attention really matters. It turns into matter. It becomes
Yeah.
our life
Ooh, I love that.
experience.
Yeah. I think it was John Asraf in The Secret. I think that was the first time that I heard where attention goes, energy flows. And
Mm.
I'm sure it was somebody way before him, but that's where I heard it, and I was just like, well,
Yeah,
all I could say was,
I got
well,
this
huh?
This was like the loud and clear message that was undeniable when I found myself in the predicament of facing cancer. When I believed that that's what was going on, my life was a living nightmare. It was horrific. I was in fear every single day, and it was dark and gloomy, and I was on the verge of suicide, the whole thing. And then I kept asking the question, what do I need to know about this? And when the answer popped in, it was like, boom, light bulb, totally different perspective. So instead of looking on the dark side, I could see the light. It was like, oh, totally different thing going on here than what I thought was going on. And it was just the shift of perspective from the pre-programmed belief of this is what's wrong with you to the eyes of the higher self going, there's nothing wrong with you. Like everything is fine. Everything is doing your body's doing exactly what it's supposed to do under the circumstances you're giving it. Look through your higher self and see the well-being that is right here. It's always been here. So what we place our attention on matters. It becomes our physical experience. So, and I love that you're bringing all of this up in your new movie and your upcoming documentary. Do you want to tell people about what you got going?
Oh, yeah, it's so exciting. Working on a documentary called The In Side Effects. So everything's lowercase except for the word in. So it's the inside effects, how the body heals itself. And a discussion about that with many incredible experts, and one being the one sitting before you, Lisa. It's why I made the film, to introduce Lisa to the world, and everybody is the supporting cast for that. So there you go. It's freaking amazing. And just getting better and better every day because we're in the editing process, and more exciting every day as it comes together and reveals what it truly is, and the form and how it is to be for the world to see it. But it's already happened. It's already out there, already making a difference, already transforming the world. And so I'm here pretending to be in linear time working on it and bringing it forth, but we know that it's already been a major smash success and changed so many lives.
Right. And this is such an important point to bring up, is that we are creators.
Mm-hmm.
And we can create anything we place our attention upon.
Mm-hmm.
So this film, Keith had the idea that he wanted to make a film. And in that moment, that film was created. That possibility, the film has already been created. Everything that, in my awareness, everything that exists now, because there is no other time than now. So in the all that is infinite possibilities, this film is one of those possibilities. It's already been created. So when Keith chose to make this film into a reality, it was already there. So now all he is doing is going back to the beginning and finding out all the steps that went into that creation. So anything we choose to create, whether it's a school, whether it's better health, in that moment that we make that choice, it is done. So
Right.
if you choose to heal your body, it is done. Now you go and you find the steps that brought you to that manifestation. So it's super important to focus on what it is you want to create. Because otherwise, if you're not focused on creating your dreams, your nightmares are going to be created for you, because there are a lot of people out there that want you to create for them. And they speak very loudly and very clearly, and they want to strong arm us into creating their creations. So if you're not clear on your own creations, you're in very sketchy territory out there. But look at Keith, look at what he is creating simply by focusing on it. And it's coming together so quickly, so easily, and in just a beautiful, joyful manner.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. The clarity of your answer is based on the quality of your question.
Exactly.
And I was really clear on what it was to be. And then the universe supported that and just made the way, right? Made something out of no thing. And
That's
yeah.
it right there. No thing. That's the non-physical realms. Everything in the physical realm comes from the non-physical realm. When I was 2 years old, I would go to bed at night and I would just be part of the unified field. It was just all light and all love. That's it. The oneness of all that is. And I knew in that moment that that was forever and eternal. That never goes away. That is always here for us. And that is in the non-physical space. And we pull everything from that non-physical space into our physical reality so we can experience it in physical form. So this is, again, why we place our attention on our dreams, on what we want to bring into physical form. Because now it's time to create heaven on earth, people. That's why we have Soul Illusion Sunday, because the soul is the solution. Focusing on that greater part of ourselves.
And I love that you brought it back to what I was just waiting for a way to share, and you just said it. So that's, you and I both got the same answer that our friend Brenny says all the time, and that's 7 words. Love is the answer to every question. You know, it truly is. If you want to answer to your question, and you asked the angel and you didn't feel like you got an answer, just put the word love in to the answer to the question that you asked the angel, and you'll have your answer, because it truly is the answer to every question. And that's the one thing that I would post on Facebook over the years that I think I got the most slapback on, was that particular phrase. People would be like, love doesn't pay my bills. You know, how does love pay my bills? And then I'd write a paragraph or two and they'd be like, huh, my bad. Well, if love is the answer to every question, then how come, you know, and I just got so many of those questions, and then I would just tune in and then just write down whatever came, and so much learning for me and for them, I think, happened in the slapback from that question, because it gave me an opportunity to look at even more ways that love is the answer to every question. So I learned and they learned as I kind of channeled through the answer, because some of them I was like, ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, how does that? How, what? Ooh, that was a good one. And then just write what came through and then read it and go, wow, got God bumps. So yeah,
you know, from that
it's just, you
space
know,
of infinite possibilities where it's just love and light, you know, everything, we all hear everything is energy. So therefore everything is frequency, and love, unconditional love and light, is the highest frequency of all. it is the most coherent frequency. So when we're experiencing wobbles in our reality, fears, doubts, guilts, I call those wobbles, that when I just open up my heart and I shine my light and my love right at the wobble, it starts to clear itself out and the solution appears. But if we don't look for that, if we don't start utilizing what's inside, our own light, our own love are the most powerful tools on the planet. They're more powerful than any pill.
Yeah. Yes.
Beautiful. So Keith's book, it's called Walking with My Angels, and it is available on Amazon. I will pop the link in the comments. So if you have not read his book, please do yourself a favor and grab a copy, because it's raising the frequency of you and the planet at the same time.
Walking with My Angels, a true story, which was really fun because I'm a book publisher, so subtitles, subtitles are my thing. Subtitles, usually for a book to be successful, then the title should have you or your in either the title or the subtitle, or it's not for whoever's reading it. They'll think, oh, Jim should read this, but then they'll forget to tell Jim and never tell him. So it's like nobody gets it. So it was like Walking with My Angels, interesting, because I was given that title way back in my early 20s, that's what it would be. And then subtitle, it was like a true story was the only thing that worked, and it has neither you nor your in either. So it's just like, this is going against everything I know in human form, right, as a publisher, but I've learned to listen to everything beyond that. So even the title and subtitle is me following guidance. So there you go. I guess that's why that came up. But thanks for having me. So grateful.
Thank you for being my monthly guest. I am so grateful. The audience is grateful. These conversations are just spectacular. They raise the vibration of the planet. We have all kinds of fun together, and it's just a joy all the way around.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody who has been tuning in or is listening on the replay. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe to my channel, give us a like, let us know that it was helpful. If it was helpful, please share it with other people who might also find it to be helpful. Mm-hmm. So thank you all for tuning in for another Soul-lution Sunday, because the soul is the solution. We are angels in human form, non-physical beings. All your answers come from inside. Tune in, start asking and start listening, because you will receive the answer. Thank you all. We'll see you again next week. Until then, create for yourselves a great week. Bye for now.